There are moments when the world seems to stop breathing, when time itself feels suspended and humanity is forced to confront what it has long ignored. The pandemic was one of those moments. To the surface mind, it looked like a biological crisis, a struggle against an invisible enemy. But beneath the numbers, policies, and debates, there was a deeper current moving through us all. This was not only a medical event, it was a cosmic initiation, a great reset of consciousness. Life before the pandemic was fast, relentless, almost mechanical. We rushed through days as though they were disposable, always chasing the next distraction, the next achievement. Then suddenly the noise stopped. Empty streets, closed borders, silent skies. This global stillness became a mirror. And in that mirror, many of us saw truths we had long hidden from ourselves. Our fear of mortality, our dependence on systems outside our control, and the fragility of what we called normal. In this story, the vaccine emerged as more than medicine. It became a symbol. For some, it was salvation, the key to returning to safety and connection. For others, it embodied mistrust, a question mark about authority and freedom. Whether embraced or rejected, the vaccine revealed something deeper. It showed us where we placed our faith. In science, in spirit, in government, in self, or perhaps in none at all. The hidden purpose of the pandemic was not simply to challenge our bodies, but to awaken our souls. It stripped away illusions of certainty and control, leaving us face to face with the essential. What does it mean to live? What do we truly value? How do we wish to move forward as a species? The great reset of consciousness is not a headline or a policy. It is the unfolding recognition that crises are not just obstacles, but invitations. Invitations to awaken, to shift, to remember who we are beneath the noise of the world. At the heart of the great reset of consciousness lies a confrontation between illusion and truth. Humanity has long lived in a trance, believing in endless progress, permanent security, and the idea that life could be controlled like machinery. The pandemic shattered that illusion. Suddenly, we saw how fragile systems really were. Shelves could empty, borders could close, entire economies could freeze overnight. What was once unthinkable became undeniable. This collapse of certainty revealed several core themes. The first was fear. Fear spread faster than the virus itself, shaping choices, dividing communities, and dictating behavior. Yet fear also became a teacher, showing us how easily we surrender to invisible forces, whether they come from a pathogen, a headline, or a policy. The second theme was trust. Vaccines became the center of this test. For some, they represented trust in science, technology, and human ingenuity. For others, they raised questions about authority, consent, and the right to make choices about one's own body. The vaccine was never just a vial of liquid. It was a symbol of where we place our faith. It asked each person, do you trust external systems, or do you trust inner discernment? Do you surrender, resist, or seek balance between the two? The third theme was connection. The pandemic made separation unavoidable. Masks, distancing, isolation, yet paradoxically, it revealed our interdependence. A sneeze in one corner of the world could ripple across continents. In the same way, kindness, creativity, and resilience could ripple too. The crisis reminded us that we are not isolated beings, but nodes in a vast web of life. These themes, fear, trust, connection, are not random. They are archetypal lessons woven into the human story. The pandemic was not just a crisis of health, it was a classroom of consciousness, teaching us truths we had long forgotten. The pandemic can be read as a modern myth, a story written not in pages, but in the rhythms of daily life, in the sudden stillness of cities, in the tension between fear and hope. Imagine it as a great river that swelled beyond its banks, washing away illusions and revealing the landscape beneath. Vaccines in this allegory are like bridges built across the flood. Some cross willingly, trusting the structure and the hands that made it. Others hesitate, unsure whether the bridge will hold, questioning the currents below. In many ways, humanity was cast into a collective underworld, much like the heroes of old who had to descend into darkness to retrieve treasure. The streets emptied, routines halted, and time itself seemed suspended. In that underworld, each individual faced a mirror of their inner world. Fears, attachments, and unexamined beliefs surfaced with startling clarity. Some found themselves confronting the illusion of control, recognizing that life is a delicate weave of choice and circumstance. Others discovered untapped wells of compassion, creativity, and resilience, like hidden springs waiting to be uncovered. Vaccines themselves became symbolic talismans in this underworld journey. They were not only instruments of physical protection, but mirrors reflecting our trust, our courage, and our willingness to participate in a shared experiment of survival and hope. Choosing to take a vaccine or choosing to wait became a personal initiation, a test of discernment, a lesson in accepting uncertainty while honoring responsibility. Even the fear and division sparked by the pandemic carried meaning. In mythology, the shadow always accompanies the light. It is necessary for awakening. Conflict, doubt, and tension revealed the edges of our consciousness, showing where we had surrendered to inertia, unquestioned authority, or habit. And just as the hero returns from the underworld transformed, so too did humanity have the opportunity to emerge with a deeper sense of awareness, a renewed understanding of trust, connection, and the impermanence of all things. The story of this time, then, is not only about disease or vaccines. It is a symbolic narrative of descent and rebirth, a call to recognize that crises are invitations, and that the hidden purpose of suffering is often illumination. The lessons of the pandemic and the great reset of consciousness are not meant to remain abstract. They unfold in daily life, in the quiet decisions and subtle shifts we make as individuals and as a collective. The experience of fear, uncertainty, and isolation revealed how deeply we rely on external systems for a sense of security. Vaccines, mandates, and public health measures became concrete reminders that while some protection can be provided externally, the most enduring resilience comes from inner alignment. The clarity of mind, discernment of heart, and awareness of body. In practical terms, this means cultivating a balance between trust and discernment. Trust in knowledge, community, and cooperation is vital, yet it is equally important to remain conscious, questioning, and aware of how information, influence, and fear shape our choices. The pandemic illustrated that our health, physical, emotional, and spiritual, is interconnected. Decisions about vaccines, social behavior, and personal boundaries ripple outward, affecting families, communities, and even global systems. Recognizing this interconnectedness fosters responsibility without falling into fear or rigidity. Another real-world implication lies in presence. The pause imposed by the pandemic offered a mirror. The relentless pace of modern life had masked our awareness of what truly matters. Time spent with loved ones, the stillness of a morning walk, the attentiveness to one's own thoughts and emotions became profound acts of practice. Vaccines, as part of this narrative, symbolized a choice to participate consciously in collective life while acknowledging vulnerability. They are reminders that the sacred and the mundane are intertwined, that every action carries ethical and spiritual weight. Finally, the Great Reset calls for active engagement with uncertainty. The pandemic showed that control is an illusion, that life unfolds unpredictably. Yet within this unpredictability lies freedom, the freedom to choose courage over fear, understanding over judgment, and connection over isolation. By integrating these insights into daily routines, personal health, and social interactions, humanity can emerge not merely recovered, but awaken to the subtle dynamics of trust, choice, and interdependence. In short, the hidden architecture of this time is not found in policy alone, but in conscious participation. The reset is practical, lived, and transformative, urging us to align inner wisdom with outer action. The pandemic and vaccines were more than events. They were mirrors revealing our deepest fears, trust, and the essence of being human. Each choice, hesitation, and act of compassion showed how we navigate uncertainty, connection, and responsibility. Crises are not punishments. They are invitations to awaken, to see beyond the surface, and to act with awareness. Courage over fear, understanding over judgment, conscious choice over autopilot. This is the hidden human story. By embracing these lessons, we do not merely survive, we awaken to a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us.